Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to our Facebook live tutorial that happens every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time Zone. So if you're joining me on Facebook, say hi. If you're joining me on Instagram, say hi. And if you are joining me on LinkedIn and YouTube, say hi as well. Okay. Hi, Anne. Thank you for joining me on Instagram. And who else do we have? Dream Catching Events and okay, quite a few of you on Instagram. Okay, all right. So I know that some of you are watching me during your lunchtime. So I am going to not waste everyone's time, but I do want to call out to somebody. Hey, Helen, thank you for joining me on Instagram. So happy to see that you are getting well every day. Okay, so if I'm not calling out your name, not because that I am not seeing you or ignoring you, is I want to make sure that I finish it on time. Okay. So today I want to talk a little bit about why you do not want to price yourself according to the market rate. Okay. Again, if you're joining me on Facebook, okay, make sure that you click on the StreamYard link so I can see your name. I don't see anyone on Facebook with me. So if my team member can actually get on Facebook so that I can see that it's actually working, that will be fantastic, and write me a comment. So yes, I miss you too, Helen. Okay, so what do I mean by market rate, right? So if you have gotten price objection and your potential client has told you that, why are you more expensive than the others? Why are you charging more when there are other event planners who are charging this much, or decorators that are charging this much? So they're basically telling you that the market is charging this much. Why are you charging more? Okay, market rate, right? I have heard this over and over again from the members inside our mentorship program, the Unstoppable Eventrepreneur. And I've also heard it over and over again inside our free members Facebook group, Events for Anyone, on Instagram, and also on many event planning groups, right? There's a price objection that somebody is always charging lower than what you're charging. And then you're being questioned, how come your rate is so much higher than the market rate? Okay, so as an event planner, decorator, anyone in the events field, okay, it doesn't even matter whether you're in events field or not, because it's relatable to any business you are in, especially when you're a service provider, online service provider, or service provider that you don't have a tangible product to compare an apple with an apple or pear with a pear. Okay, so when someone says that, how come your price is so much higher than the market rate, you get very affected because you're losing the leads, you're losing the business, correct? Because you are losing your business to someone who is charging the market rate or lower than the market rate, right? So your potential clients has done some shopping, price shopping, and then said that you're too expensive. So what exactly is the market rate? The market rate is just a data or information that people made up, okay? So there is no real number. What exactly is the market rate? So if you call around, okay, like I'm in Miami, if you call around, hey, how much does it cost to do? I'm not going to talk about a tangible product. Let's talk about a service, okay? Service given, because a tangible product is always easy to compare apples to apples, right? So service, okay? So if you call around, okay, you do some price shopping to see what your competitors are charging. So you call around and you say that, hey, I want to find out, I want to hire a wedding planner, or someone who's able to plan a birthday party. And then, you call out other event planners or decorators, and you ask them for their fee, right? You get a general consensus how much things cost, how much they're charging. And then, just to give you one example, okay, so like, again, I have members inside our program and also members inside the Facebook group sharing with me that they get price objection because they're priced outside their market rate. So the question that came out is, should I drop my fee to meet the market rate? Okay, not should I drop my fee to match what the client wants to pay, because the client basically told you they did their own research and the market rate is this. How do you know that data is true? Number one. Okay. Number two, did you go shop yourself, your competitors, okay, the people who's doing the same thing as you? how much are they charging? Even if you have gotten that data, I'm just going to give an example, okay? If let's say for a full planning, wedding planning, okay, that's about 60 to 80 hours of work. And your potential client tells you that, hey, you know, somebody is charging me $2,000 to plan the full wedding for me, okay? And your fee is $4,000, all right? $4,000 or sometimes $5,000, couple of $1,000 more than the market rate. So they're asking you, okay, your potential client is asking you, how come you're so much more expensive? And you kept getting this same objection over and over and over. And then you get frustrated. So you start thinking, should I drop my fee to meet the market rate? Because so many of my potential clients has been telling me the market rate is $2,000, okay? And you are charging at $4,000. Should I drop my fee? Before you do anything, you have to ask yourself, first and foremost, okay? You have to ask yourself, does the market rate actually make sense? Because you know, you and I know, right? You know, give me a yes, give me some comment to let me know if you agree with me. There are people who will lowball their services in order to get the business, right? There are many people who will price themselves extremely low in order to win that business, right? Okay, extremely low so that they can win the business, right? And then we are the rest of the other planners like, how did you even make money with that fee? But then as a consumer, if we see all these people who keep lowballing, you know, like quoting this fee that is like $2,000, I'm just saying, okay, we as a the consumer has no idea exactly how much things cost. So if they keep hearing all these people who is charging so low, $2,000 or whatever, okay, very low fee, then what happens, right? They will just assume that, oh, that is the market rate. How come you're charging $4,000? How come you're charging $5,000? Right? The consumer doesn't know, but you are wondering, how can the other person charge that much? Are they making money? So before, now you're caught in a hard place, right? Like, should I drop my fee so that I can get this business, or should I stay put? Okay, should I stay put or should I drop my fee so I can get this business? Again, before you rush to do anything to your fees, you need to understand, okay? You need to understand the market rate or the data, again, is man-made. There's no data to support that. Okay, there's no data to support that, whether that market rate should be what everybody should be charging. There's no benchmark, there's no data. Everybody charge whatever they want to charge, right? It's just like everybody wants to sell their house at top dollar, but at the end of the day, it's what the buyer wants to pay, right? The seller can sell it at $1 million, but the buyer only want to pay $700,000. That's it, right? Same thing here. So again, this theory doesn't apply just to the events field, but apply to any field that is service, that you are a service provider, not comparing a tangible product but a service. Okay, so before you decide whether you want to drop your fee, you have to first understand what is the cost of you doing business, your operational costs, right? Your business operational costs, especially the fixed costs that you have to incur regardless whether you have any clients or not. Costs that are like your business license, your insurance, okay, business license, your insurance, and also, website domain, anything that makes you a legit company, okay, that you can market your business and do business legally, right? Those are your operational costs. Those are your hard costs, your fixed costs that you are incurring no matter whether you have clients or not. You have to understand your numbers. So you have to understand what is the cost of operations for you, for your business, right? So I've taught many classes how to do your hourly rate, how to calculate your hourly rate, correct? So after you determine your cost, you know that if, let's say, the cost of running your business is $1,000 or $2,000 a month, that means you need to at least make $2,000 a month to at least break even, correct? So And then you also have to understand what is the business that you are trying to build, your business structure. What is the lifestyle that you want to live as a CEO of your business, as a business owner? That's the reason why we quit our job, right? Just to have our own business so that we can live the lifestyle that we want, correct? So you need to understand, okay, in order to support that lifestyle, how much profit do I need to make, correct? How much profit do I need to make for every single event, every month? And then you come out with your hourly rate based on that, how many hours you are willing to work, correct? So you have your cost of operation, and you also understand how much money you want to make. You add that together, and then you have your hourly rate. I'm not here to teach you how to calculate your hourly rate. If you want to learn, go inside my Facebook group, my free members Facebook group, Events for Anyone. Go to that module and go through that tutorial. So go to the guides tab and look for the pricing class. So once you understand how much profit you need to make, what is the cost of even running the business, you understand how many hours it's going to take to do that job, you take your hourly rate times by the number of hours, and that's the fee that you need to charge in order to get that business. So those are the people who are charging below the market rate or whatever the market rate is because either they don't know their finance, they don't know their numbers, they just wing it. And I'll give you one perfect example. This is also a coach, okay, an events coach who's teaching people how to price. Very scary. Someone who was watching her live or her tutorial asked her, so how much do you think I should charge hourly? How much do you think I should charge for this service? Her answer to that person is, how much money would you wake up to get your ass out of the bed to go do that event? How much money do you want to charge so that you will get yourself out of bed to go do that event? There is no rhyme or reason behind that fee. There is no rhyme or reason in that calculation. Okay, if I say that, oh, I will only want to get out of bed if somebody pays me $1,000 to get out of bed. But if my cost of operation and the profit margin does not compute to that, then $1,000 may be too low. $1,000, I may have to charge $5,000. So if there is nothing to back up your analogy of calculation, you don't know your numbers. When you don't know your numbers, you don't have a business. You have a very expensive hobby. That's when you work yourself to the bones. You take any business, and at the end of the year, you realize that you're not making any money, right? That's why I say knowing your numbers is so important. So before you get really upset, okay, before you get really upset about how come I'm losing all these leads, right? Got to find out what makes sense for you based on what I just shared with you. Now, why are other people able to charge much lower than you? Either, again, because they don't know how to compute their numbers, okay? They don't have a good handle of their finance, okay? Of their financials for their business, or they ignore those finance and they feel that, well, as long as I'm getting income coming in, I'm making money. Okay, I'm making money. But they don't know if this money eventually is able to pay for the cost of running their business. Okay, and they also don't know what is the profit margin. Okay, maybe their profit margin is very low and they're okay with that. Maybe their cost of operation is also very low. That's why they're able to charge whatever they charge. Like M2 Hospitality, our cost of operation is extremely low, right? So I don't have to charge an arm and a leg for my services because I kept my costs very low and I put in my profit margin. I'm able to charge $300, $500 an hour, sometimes even $150 to $250 an hour based on the job, because I know how much I need to make in order to break even. And I know how much I need to make in order to live the lifestyle that I want. So these people may not know their numbers, number one, or they have a very low operating cost and very low profit margin. And these are the people, a lot of times, again, at the end of the year, okay, realize that they don't see the money. Where is the money? Okay, where is the money? That you have done so many business, but where is the money? So the market rate is almost a scenario of the blind leading the blind. Okay, because as new event planners, what do? You go around calling or you shop around, right? And they say, oh, that's the market rate, so maybe let me charge the same or a little bit lower, correct? So if if the data that you're researching, the source that you're researching from is not a reliable source, it's not someone who knows what they're doing, okay, they do not have a thriving business on the books, but in reality you can't really tell, because when someone says that they're very busy, they have a lot of events booked, does that mean that they're profitable? Absolutely not. 100% not. I'll tell you that for a fact. Okay, so if you are listening and you are getting all this data from the market, okay, and unfortunately if the market is not doing the right calculation, then you'll be given the false data. So when I see pricing, people ask about pricing all the time, especially in the events group, right? Says, that's my how much should I charge? And then people say that, well, is it always the same regardless of which city you are in? Absolutely not. Your pricing will change when you move from city to city, because some city has a lower cost of living. So to run your business is cheaper. Labor is cheaper. Everything else is cheaper. So the cost of operation is a lot cheaper for you. And the cost of living is also a lot cheaper. So your money goes a long way. So you don't have to charge such a high rate in order to live the lifestyle you want, right? In order to cover your costs. But if we are to, let's say I'm just using, Mississippi, okay, down south, things are relatively a little bit less expensive compared to up north, right? Or the West Coast. So if you are in New York, 100%, or California's registration is $800. Texas is $300. Miami is $120. So the cost of operating is very different. So if you're up in a state that is a lot more expensive, that's going to greatly impact how much you need to charge. But again, you still have these people who are in a very expensive state and still lowballing their fees. That is what we call spoiling the market. Okay, we're spoiling the market, teaching the market. The market is your target audience. Okay, teaching your consumers the wrong information. If everybody do their part, know their numbers, do your calculation, understand how much you should be charging based on the profit margin that you want to make, then the discrepancy won't be that big. The discrepancy could be, okay, somebody is charging 4,000, some people is charging 5,000, not such a big difference of what I said, 2,000 to 4,000 or $5,000, because now the difference is how much profit do you want to make and how many hours can you work, right? That's the only variable. But the cost of operation, things that is the same regardless of what business you are in, the registration fee is the same, or if you're in the same field, the insurance is the same. So don't get upset. Don't waste your time and your energy getting frustrated, okay, getting upset, worrying about why you're losing this lead, okay, worrying whether you should drop your fee. You, in the first place, right, if you have done your calculation right and you know that this is how much I need to charge in order to get my ass out of the bed to do the event, and you hold true to that, then you will be in good shape, because you're not appealing to everyone. You're only appealing to people who understands your value, who like what they see or what you're projecting or what you're sharing of your work, your value, and they're willing to pay. So if you are fretting over a lead, okay, who came to you and said, hey, your price above the market rate, okay, then this person may not be your ideal client, right? But it always goes back to, you got to know your numbers, all right? And you also always go back to, is your work a representation of your fees, right? Is your work a representation of your fees? Because at the end of the day, perception is everything, right? Which is also a class that I'll be teaching in a couple of weeks. So you need to already present something that can create a perception of how much you want to charge. So when people look at the market rate And then they look at yours and say, wow, why is this one priced so much higher? So they will call you out of curiosity, right? And then after they hang up the phone with you, if you have done a great job in showing your value, understanding your client's needs, the inner emotional needs. Remember, I talked about that a few sessions ago. Then they will say, oh, that's the reason why she charged this much, right? And not the other one. Many times, I do not pay based on how much, but based on price. I pay based on value. Many times when I have done my own shopping for things, either product or service, someone can be charging me really low. Someone can be charging me really high. And a lot of times I end up going with someone who charged me very high because I can tell the difference after I've spoken to that person, even though they provide the same services, okay? Even though they provide the same services, I can tell the difference when I speak to the one that charges very low and the charge is very high. Because the type of service to provide is not going to vary. It's how they provide. It's how they provide it. Okay? Their thinking process. How do they react to things? How do they prepare for things? Right? So I ask questions so that I know that this person really know what they're doing. Okay? And have my back. And then this one as well. And if both gives me the same feeling that I can trust, then I'll go to the lower price one. Maybe this one is priced out of the market, okay, that I created, the market rate I created. She is not priced out of the market rate because there is no market rate. We create the own market rate. So she's priced out of my budget. So the budget is the market rate, right? So you have to make sure you got to know your numbers. Don't fret over whether your market rate is high, your fee is higher than the market rate or lower than the market rate. You got to do your numbers to see whatever you're charging, does it make sense or not, right? And then after that, make sure that your work displayed is a representation of how much you want to charge, okay? So don't waste your time and energy trying to compare your fees to other people, okay? Unless you're willing to cut your costs and cut your profit margin, okay, then that's a different story. And then we may want to have a conversation. Why do you want to cut your profit margin? Right? So I hope today's session gives you an idea exactly why you should not pay too much attention to the market rate. It's good for general knowledge, but why you should not be paying too much attention to market rate and why it's great or it's a good thing that you're charging above the market rate. Go call up your competitor. Where can we find the overall market rate for our city? Go call up the people in your city, call up the planners, decorators, and see how much they charge. You got to do your market research, right? If you want to be an entrepreneur, you got to be resourceful, okay? Nobody's going to hand you the answer. You have to be resourceful to find out what everybody else is doing. Be aware, and then that doesn't mean that what everybody else is doing, you need to be doing. You have to ask yourself, does this work with me? Does this number work with me? Am I okay charging this much, right? Do I want to build a business that is like that? Okay. So all these questions as a business owner, it has to make sense because when you build a business, it's for longevity, sustainability. You cannot do something that is going to follow the market, right? Just because everybody else is doing. When you hear what I say, right? Follow the market. That means you will never be a market leader. Okay, you will never be a market leader because you are following. All right. Again, it could be the blind leading the blind situation because we have some people who don't know their numbers or some people who has a lower operation cost and also low profit margin and they want to charge that low. And then now it's up to you whether you want to take the business or not. So, but you have to always go back. Do I want to build the business this way? Does this make sense? Does this number make sense if I were to drop my fees? Okay. All right. So stay true to your market rate. Understand your numbers to see if are you really overpricing yourself or underpricing yourself. And third and last is to make sure that whatever you're projecting out there matches the perception that you're giving out how much you want to charge. Okay. The last thing we want is you say that you want to charge $5,000, but when someone speaks to you or your work doesn't represent a $5,000 value. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and I'll see you next week.